one of the things that was super popular like 10 years ago was BBL, or Brazilian butt lift, because of Kardashian. And then suddenly a lot of problem came with it, complication, people died, and going to Mexico or overseas and doing procedure and having problem, either pulmonary embolism or somehow clot happened, and it fell off of the popularity. And tell me what happened, and if somebody wants to do it, because it's a great procedure, how would you circumvent those complications?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great topic. BBL surgery has evolved tremendously over the last 10 years, not just from an aesthetic point of view, but from a technical standpoint. So there's been a lot of concern over the last several years because of some of the deaths that have occurred. And they arise from fat being injected in areas where the veins will rip and pick up the fat globule and take it through the vessels up to the heart and lung and cause a pulmonary embolism that typically will result in a fatality on the table. So unfortunately, these isolated cases have been brought to the attention of the media and to us plastic surgeons, and we've created a task force specifically to look at BBL safety in the United States, come up with procedures and protocols for surgeons to follow to ensure that we don't run into problems collectively. So some of the things that I've done is I now use ultrasound technology to inject the fat in the superficial layer. So all the fat has to be injected above the muscle. But the question is, how do you know exactly if you're above the muscle? The answer is experience, training, and then having an image to show you exactly where you are makes it extremely safe.
So that ultrasound, you kind of see where exactly that...
Absolutely. So we have the ultrasound image in real time. We see where the cannula is, and we're above the muscle in the deep layer of this subcutaneous space or fascia, and then, in the deep layer of the subcutaneous area, and we inject above the muscle, and then we spread it with our cannula. So this technique is gaining popularity because of some of the concerns that we have. And one of the misconceptions, one of the biggest misconceptions, Dr. Sadati, is people think that the fat has to be injected under the muscle into a blood vessel, and it doesn't have to be injected there in order to get a blood clot. All you need is to pierce the fascia or the layer above the muscle. Once that's been violated, all the fat that you put in over a period of a few hours can actually creep under and into the muscle fibers. And with all the swelling and all the volume, what that does is it causes those small veins to rip. And that negative pressure will pick up the fat and suck it into the system and take it up to the lungs. There was a colleague of mine, a great friend and colleague of mine, who did an experiment where they took cadavers and they injected green applesauce instead of fat into the buttock, and they found that when they pierced the fascia, that applesauce made its way through all the way down into the areas where the deep veins were. So that tells you that it's not, you don't have to inject under the muscle. Even injecting above the muscle but violating the fascia can lead to complications. That's why ultrasound is so uber important.
I see.